Hello, everyone. Do you know what the greatest commandment is in the Bible? Well, Jesus said the greatest commandment in the Bible was to love God and man. See, Matthew 22:36-40 says, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Well, most people would say that they love God, and they also love their neighbor and try to do what's best for them. But have you ever considered that your spouse is your neighbor? Yes, your spouse is your neighbor. Even though you live with them, they are still your neighbor. You see, sometimes spouses treat their neighbor with sacrificial love, but then treat their spouse with selfish love. What do I mean by that? Once we understand that our spouse is our neighbor, we must also love them with God's sacrificial love, and not a selfish love that looks for them to do all our wishes. See, sometimes spouses can treat their neighbors with love and go out of their way to do whatever is needed for their neighbor that does not live with them. But when the neighbor is their spouse, it becomes a selfish attitude of, my spouse needs to do this for me, and not me doing something for my spouse. But no, we can't have that selfish desire take over our relationship. We must treat our spouse as we would treat our neighbor, and do good to them all the time, and be loving and kind to them. Instead of looking at them to constantly do stuff for us, we need to try to do stuff for them. For example, if your spouse does not do a chore, you don't get upset at them and yell at them. Or if a spouse forgets something, or doesn't do something the way you want them to do it, you don't get upset at them and yell at them. No, you wouldn't treat your neighbor who is outside the house like that. So you shouldn't treat your spouse like that either. We must love our spouse as if they are our neighbor, because that is God's will. Don't treat your neighbors with sacrificial love, and then treat your spouse as an enemy because they don't do what you want them to do. That's not God's will. Treat your spouse with God's sacrificial love. That way you'll have a great marriage and the two of you will live in God's peace.